Imagine a world where the familiar label, Made in China, starts to fade, replaced by something new, something unexpected. For decades, China has been the undisputed factory floor of the planet, churning out everything from our smartphones to our sneakers. But what if I told you that era is rapidly drawing to a close, and a fierce, often brutal, race is on to crown the next global manufacturing king? This isn't just about cheap labor anymore. This is about geopolitics, technological shifts, and the desperate search for resilience in a fractured world. In this video, we're going to pull back the curtain on this high-stakes competition, uncover the surprising nation that surged ahead, and reveal the single, critical policy decision that threatened to unravel its entire dream, leaving a trail of broken promises and shattered lives. By the end of this, you'll understand why finding the next China is far more complicated than anyone ever imagined. For years, global corporations operated on a simple principle: efficiency above all else. China, with its vast workforce, robust infrastructure, and state-backed incentives, offered unparalleled efficiency. But then, things started to change. Labor costs in China began to rise. Geopolitical tensions escalated, making companies nervous about having all their eggs in one basket. And then, the pandemic hit, exposing the terrifying fragility of highly concentrated supply chains. Suddenly, the world woke up to a new mantra: resilience. Companies needed alternatives, and they needed them fast. This created a vacuum, a golden opportunity for nations eager to step onto the global stage. Many contenders emerged: Vietnam, India, Mexico, even parts of Eastern Europe. But one nation, let's call it Veridia, seemed to have all the ingredients for success. Veridia, a vibrant country nestled in Southeast Asia, boasted a young, eager workforce, a strategic location with access to major shipping lanes, and a government desperate for economic growth. Its leaders, seeing the writing on the wall for China's manufacturing dominance, rolled out the red carpet, offering unprecedented tax breaks, streamlined regulations, and promises of massive infrastructure investment. They wanted to be the world's next factory, and they were willing to do almost anything to get there. Think about it. Global giants, like hungry sharks sensing a new feeding ground, began to circle Veridia. Companies like Apex Electronics, a fictional tech titan, were among the first to make the leap. They announced plans for sprawling new factories, promising thousands of jobs and a new era of prosperity. For people like Anya, a 20-year-old living in a small Veridian village, this was more than just news. It was a lifeline. Anya had always dreamed of a better life, of escaping the back-breaking work of the rice paddies. When Apex announced its new assembly plant just an hour's bus ride away, she saw her chance. She trained for weeks, learning intricate assembly techniques, and soon, she was on the factory floor, her nimble fingers connecting tiny circuits, contributing to the very smartphones we hold in our hands. Her wages, though modest by Western standards, were a revelation, allowing her to send money home and dream of a future beyond her village. Veridia's transformation was breathtaking. New industrial parks sprung up like mushrooms after rain. Ports that once handled modest cargo now buzzed with container ships. The capital city, once sleepy, became a hive of activity, its skyline dotted with cranes. Foreign direct investment, or FDI, poured in, fueling an economic boom that saw Veridia's GDP growth rates soar into double digits. The world watched, impressed, as Veridia seemed to be doing everything right. They were building the infrastructure, training the workforce, and creating an environment where global manufacturing could thrive. It felt like a new dawn, a testament to what ambition and strategic planning could achieve. But beneath the gleaming new factories and bustling ports, a quiet tension was building. A tension that few saw coming, and even fewer understood. This rapid growth, while celebrated, wasn't without its hidden costs. Environmental regulations were often relaxed to attract investors, leading to concerns about pollution. Labor rights, though improving, struggled to keep pace with the influx of workers and the demands of global production schedules. And then there was the issue of local businesses. While some, like Mr. Chen, a small entrepreneur who supplied Apex with packaging materials, initially thrived, many others found themselves unable to compete with the scale and efficiency of the foreign giants. The economy was booming, yes, but it was also becoming increasingly reliant on these foreign companies, creating a kind of economic monoculture. Veridia was becoming the world's factory, but at what price? And what would happen if the engine suddenly sputtered? The government, buoyed by its success and facing increasing pressure from domestic industries and nationalist sentiments, began to feel a growing unease. They had attracted the world's factories, but were they truly capturing enough of the value? Were they just a cheap labor provider, or could they become something more? This internal debate, simmering for months, finally boiled over. A new, more nationalistic faction gained power, promising to put Veridia's interests first. Their solution? A bold, some would say, reckless, policy shift designed to assert economic sovereignty and capture more domestic value. They called it the Veridian First Manufacturing Act. Under this new act, Veridia announced a sudden and significant increase in local content requirements for all foreign manufacturers. This meant that companies like Apex Electronics would now be forced to source a much higher percentage of their components and raw materials from within Veridia itself, often at a higher cost or with lower quality than their existing global suppliers. On top of that, new, steep export taxes were levied on finished goods, designed to encourage more domestic consumption and further boost local industries. The announcement came with little warning, a shockwave through the global supply chain. This is the part almost nobody talks about. The hidden fragility of rapid economic ascent. The reaction was immediate and devastating. Global corporations, who had invested billions based on the previous, stable regulatory environment, felt betrayed. Apex Electronics, for example, suddenly faced a massive increase in production costs and a logistical nightmare trying to reconfigure its entire supply chain overnight. Their carefully optimized global network, built over decades, was thrown into chaos. Orders were delayed, production targets missed, and profit margins evaporated. The very companies that had flocked to Veridia for efficiency and stability now found themselves facing uncertainty and punitive costs. What would you do if your entire business model was upended by a single government decree? Within weeks, the exodus began. Apex, along with other major manufacturers, announced a freeze on new investments. Some even began to scale back operations, quietly exploring options to move production to other, more predictable nations. For Anya, the impact was swift and brutal. One morning, she arrived at the factory to find a notice. Production cuts, temporary layoffs. Her dreams, once so tangible, now felt impossibly distant. Mr. Chen, who had expanded his packaging business to meet Apex's demands, suddenly found his orders slashed, his small warehouse full of unused materials, and his employees facing an uncertain future. The economic engine that had roared so loudly just months before was now sputtering, threatening to grind to a halt. The world watched, stunned. The dream of the next China was suddenly hanging by a thread, and the human cost was immediate and devastating. The Veridian government, in its haste to assert control, had miscalculated profoundly. They had forgotten that global manufacturing isn't just about attracting factories, it's about building trust, ensuring predictability, and understanding the intricate dance of global supply chains. The Veridian First Manufacturing Act, intended to strengthen the nation, instead alienated the very partners it needed. Who won in this scenario? Certainly not Veridia, whose economy plunged into recession, its unemployment rate skyrocketing. Not the global corporations, who incurred massive losses and faced renewed pressure to diversify even further. Perhaps the only winners were the other emerging nations, who now looked more attractive as alternatives, learning a harsh lesson from Veridia's misstep. Veridia's story became a cautionary tale, a stark reminder that the race to become the world's factory isn't just about low costs, it's about long-term vision, stable governance, and a deep understanding of global economics. It showed that economic nationalism, while appealing in theory, can have disastrous consequences when implemented without careful consideration of its ripple effects. The illusion of a simple next China was shattered, revealing a complex, interconnected world where a single policy decision can send shockwaves across continents. What if Veridia had phased in its policies? What if it had prioritized long-term stability and collaboration over short-term gains and assertive control? The outcome could have been dramatically different, perhaps cementing its place as a true global manufacturing leader. So, what does Veridia's journey teach us about the global economy today? It highlights the inherent risks in the relentless pursuit of efficiency and the delicate balance between national ambition and global integration. The idea of a single next China might be a mirage. Instead, we're likely to see a more diversified, regionalized manufacturing landscape, with companies spreading their bets across multiple nations to build resilience. This means more stable supply chains, but perhaps also higher costs for consumers. Veridia's story is a powerful reminder that in the complex world of global finance and manufacturing, good intentions can pave the road to economic turmoil. The quest for the next China isn't just about finding cheap labor. It's about navigating a minefield of geopolitical risks, economic incentives, and the unpredictable nature of human policy. It forces us to rethink how we view global supply chains, economic diversification, and the true cost of rapid, unchecked growth. If Veridia's dramatic rise and fall teaches us anything, it's that the global economy is a living, breathing system, constantly adapting and evolving. The search for the next manufacturing powerhouse is far from over, but the rules of the game have changed. Understanding these shifts is crucial for anyone trying to make sense of our interconnected world. What do you think? In a world constantly seeking the next big thing, are we doomed to repeat the same mistakes, chasing efficiency at the expense of resilience? Or will the lessons from Veridia finally teach us that the true world's factory isn't a single nation, but a diversified, stable, and ethically responsible global network? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dive financial documentaries that peel back the layers of what's really happening behind the numbers.